Okay. So before we totally get started, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So if you can't hear me, now would be a great time. Well, I guess you can't hear me. Ask me if you can hear me or not. But if everyone could say yes in the chat, to let me know if they can hear me, that'll give me a good idea if we're in the right spot. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. All right. So I'm gonna get started. Um, Tonight we are going the wrong way. We're doing your student orientation, which of course is typically something that is done in person on campus, but we're not going to pretend it's not a different year. And always keep in mind that different years mean that we can achieve pretty awesome things, and I've already watched that happen this summer, which is really excitingly cool. We're also going to talk about the hidden curriculum, which is the resource that we create for you in the School of Engineering to make sure that you have all the tools for success as you start in your very, very first year of college. Um, so let's begin. Um, when I looked at the registration, I know that 90% of you already know who I am because I am your advisor in the hub. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Kristin Bergene. I advise the undeclared engineers in the School of Engineering Advising Hub. I live in Troy, New York. I love living in Troy, New York. You'll probably hear a lot of Troy, New York outside my window as we go through our conversation tonight. I have two cats. I love to draw. I love plants. And I'm always happy to chat with anyone, even if you're not my advisee. So a lot of times students who find me, they're not undeclared engineers or students who are interested in changing their major. And one of the reasons I can be really helpful with that is because I'm a jack of all trades. So I have a really good understanding of all the engineering majors, which means we can kind of go through majors that you're considering if you think you might want to do a switch. So that's me. And I did start out by saying about this, but I do want to address the elephant in the room, which is COVID, which that this is a totally different time and there's a lot of uncertainty in what's going on. And I like to address it because I am your academic advisor. I'm here to help you, and I absolutely will help you as much as I ever can. But of course, it's new for me too, so sometimes I'm not going to know the answers. But I do promise that I'll never just abandon you. I'll always help you figure out where the answers are. And what's really important about questions right now is that because this isn't something that's happened before, um, no one person can know all of your needs. So asking your questions lets us, those of us who work at RPI, know exactly what it is you're needing and your questions and what kind of assurances you're looking for right now, so that we can give that to you. So always make sure you reach out with your questions. And that doesn't, of course, always try your advisor first. But if you're in this conversation and you're learning who I am and you want to reach out to me, by all means, I am not going to chase you away, I promise. Okay, so what is today about? So today is really a quick conversation. It is about the hidden curriculum, and it is about the oh, yes. It is totally fine if you're here, even though you didn't register or you missed your meeting. I just saw that in the chat, so don't worry about it. So hidden curriculum, whether you knew it or not, your registration guide that helped you register for your fall classes was actually episode 1 of the hidden curriculum. And we kind of do it on purpose where we don't introduce you to the hidden curriculum right away, and it's only because we know you're being given so many things that we don't want to overwhelm you um, with even more stuff. So we know you're looking for information on how to register, so we just put that down in front of you. This is when we really let you know what the hidden curriculum is all about. So being successful in college, of course, a huge part of that is academics. Another huge part of that is, being able to socialize and network and make friends. Um, but there's also all these different tools and resources that can help you be successful with both of those things that isn't necessarily um, something you can guess. You can't just say, yeah, I think this is the right answer. And it's not necessarily something that is like in front of you in certain ways. So with the hidden curriculum, that's exactly what we were trying to do. And then for SoE, student orientation, of course, as I said, this is something we usually do in person. We didn't want to miss that chance to continue letting you guys meet us in the hub, regardless of who your advisor is. So today we're combining those two things. So our goal is going to be making you feel pretty confident to be an RPI student by the end of this conversation. And wherever you still feel uncertainty, well, you can just ask and we can figure it out. Okay. So, hidden curriculum, episode 2. What we're going to cover today is definitely some stuff that we'll go into much more detail about through the fall semester. But we wanted to give you some quick tips in order to get started and to help you kind of get your head in the game for being successful in academic socially. Um, so we're going to start with what's the hidden curriculum. We're going to talk about the hub a little bit more. We're going to give you a few quick tips of what you need to succeed. It's definitely not everything. We're going to touch base on registration one more time. And of course, we're going to talk about campus and student life resources. So the hidden curriculum is exactly what it sounds like. It's all the stuff, all the resources that are there to help you, that again are not necessarily blatantly advertised, or you might know about them because you have friends who went to college, and they could tell you all the different types of tools there are on a college campus. We wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of this stuff, and this comes from the experience of both our students that we advise every year and what they learn and what they want to share with the incoming first year students. And it also comes from the experienced team that is your advising hub and what we see happen every year during the semester, and what we realize would be really important for students to be aware of before they even start, and what they might want to know about as they get into certain parts of the semester. So with that being said, the hidden curriculum, its goal is to give you the exact information at the exact moment that you need it. So if you think about the registration guide, you knew you had to register for classes. We put that guide down in front of you, and you were able to figure out what classes you needed for college and begin to see how to use tools like Yaks and Quacks and SIS in order to take those classes. This is doing something similar. You're coming to college in a couple of days. Holy cow, that happened super fast. So what do you need to know right now before you get totally overwhelmed with the fun part of moving in and really hanging out with your roommate and getting into that dorm room and college food, all that kind of stuff. If you look at this, you'll continue to see a bit of a breakdown. Um, so we basically have 3 different parts to it. So there's the summer, there's the fall, and then there's the spring. And I'll talk about each of these a little bit more. But what's really important to note right now is that you'll see there's dates in the little checkbox. So there are deadlines for these things. And again, the deadline is 100% because if you do the hidden curriculum episodes as we send them to you, you're going to get that information as you need it, which echoes when we usually get questions about certain things. So kind of helping you be resourceful as you're figuring out what you need. So each of these episodes are super super short. They're nothing like the registration guide was, and they are that dose of information that you need when you need it. They are mandatory, and they're mandatory because they are here to help you, and because we know what kind of questions you're going to have in your first year, and this is the best way to get those answers. And not only the best way to get those answers, but we try to organize the content in ways where you're going to have all the links you need in one spot. You're going to have all of the names and contact information in one spot, so you can always go back to these pages and these episodes as you're trying to figure out where the resources are as you're looking for them. And the hidden curriculum for your cohort, so the class of 2024, it will always be there. It'll always be on the website. So even when you're a senior, you can go back to your hidden curriculum to get that specific information that you're looking for. Okay, so we already talked about this. So the first one was our registration guide. Right now we are in our SO and hidden curriculum. I'm breaking this down because really, in order for us to know that you are completing your registration guides, oh, sorry, it's actually just moved today, so everyone's messaging it. So in order for us to kind of keep up with where everyone's at with their hidden curriculum, at the end of this, I'm going to send you a link. You may have found it on the hidden curriculum page, but there is a quiz. It's not a super hard quiz, and basically the job of this quiz is to help affirm the stuff that we really wanted you to take out of today's conversation. So that's going to happen at the end of every single from this point forward. You'll just take a little quiz. We'll know that you've completed the next episode of the hidden curriculum. So for the fall, these are the topics that are going to head your way. So for September, we are going to talk about your SOE advising team a little bit more. So hopefully you're really, really comfortable and really, really familiar with the SOE hub at this point. So your first year advising team. Next up comes faculty advisors, and there's also individuals who their job titles are student services administrators all throughout the School of Engineering. So we make sure, depending upon your major, that you're aware of those individuals as well, because they're good to know. The what you need to succeed. We're going to touch on some of the information today, not all of it. But this section, this one episode, is something that as you guys ask us questions. So at the beginning, how I was saying the way that we know what you need is because you ask us for certain things. This what you need to succeed episode is definitely going to be a very different one because we are going to keep it very flexible and very engaged on our current life at RPI. So by the time we release that episode to you, hopefully it'll be filled with the information that you're really wondering about, as well as all the basic stuff like, the ad deadline and the drop deadline and how do you communicate with faculty across campus and all that other kind of stuff. In October, you're going to go through your first consultation period, which is planning your fall or your spring schedule, sorry. So we're going to talk more about registration. What we gave you is a crash course in the summer. This is what do you do now that you are enrolled and you're headed into your next college semester. Whoop. Um, Academic resources. So again, this is going to be around midterms. So academic resources are going to be drop-in tutoring and how you can get support maybe when main offices are shut down. And then in November, student and campus life and degree works. This is all stuff definitely that you don't need to worry about right away. A lot of times, when you first come to college, there's tons of things that you can get involved with. Yes, clubs and organizations are absolutely going to be in full force this fall. I've heard that our activities fair, which is when you can meet clubs and organizations, is actually going to be a 3-day event, which is pretty massive. I think we have around 200 clubs and organizations, which is pretty phenomenal. From both hobbies to professional to Greek life to charity work, it's awesome. And then DegreeWorks is your degree tracking software. So those kind of things, we save it for the end of the fall semester because we really want you to just get adjusted and start working on that transition from high school to college and not overwhelm yourself too much. Sometimes it's hard because there are a lot of really fun things, but we try to help you find a balance. Okay. In the spring, so I'm definitely not going to talk about this too much today. But we're going to have something called What's Your Plan? SAM for your plan. So SAM stands for Student Advisor Meeting. It is a required meeting that you'll have every single year. And its goal is to make sure that you are fully aware of your graduation requirements, and that you know what's coming. And it gives you the opportunity to sit down in front of your academic advisor, to ask questions and really focus on your planning of the next few years, which is why we have the 4-year plan. So your 4-year plan of study is, again, exactly what it sounds like, is a semester by semester, um, personalized, individualized outline of everything that you need in order to graduate with the degree that you're hoping to graduate with on time, and not be a credit short at the end of the day. And then time for your transition is going to be all about you, you know, putting your first year of learning behind you and then moving on to that faculty advisor, and starting to think about what you're going to do with your education in terms of, are you going to do co-ops or internships, or are you planning to do grad school, all those kind of things. So really getting you prepared to build that relationship with your faculty advisor. And just so you know, I am going to send out these slides at the end. So if you are in this, you did not register, I would just say totally fine. I'm going to share my email at the end. Send me an email so I can make sure that you get the slides too. Because we have these boxes with more information on the side, and I want to make sure you get that. Okay, so I kind of alluded to this when I keep asking you to ask questions. But this year, the hidden curriculum is truly going to be these things. It's going to be responsive, reactive, and flexible. Because we know historically what is going to happen to you in your first year, and the questions you're going to have, and the resources that you need, and the tools that you want to discover. But this is a different semester. So there might be different things that you need to know or are curious about or are worried about. And the hidden curriculum is going to basically give us a way to give you that information in an organized context, and a familiar context as well. So, for example, I'll talk about it a little bit later on, but we've already created a new um, episode called Online Learning Guide. Yeah, the online learning guide, which we of course have built because even though you guys are with us, there is a quarantine period. Um, there is, some of you are definitely enrolled in classes that are going to be online. For example, for all the undeclareds in Engineering 1700, that will be an online course. And then, for students who have decided that they want to be remote this fall semester, we wanted to make sure we were able to put this in your hands. So I'll talk about that more in a second too. Okay. All right, so moving on and away from our explanation of the hidden curriculum, we're going to quickly talk about our thing again, just to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So remembering that I am your advisor, and your hub advisor is your advisor for your first year, and your faculty advisor will be your advisor from your sophomore year until your senior year. Uh, Here is your advising team. So you see me right there in the middle, and you might recognize your hub advisor in this picture if I'm not your hub advisor. We do work as a team to get everyone through their 4 years of college. So never hesitate to reach out to anyone, especially if you are thinking of changing your major, or you might be one but you really want to do research in another major. Don't be shy about any of that. It's why we're together, and it's why why the hub exists the way it does. It makes us a very good central point in the School of Engineering, and every single one of us is always happy to help. The hub school year. So of course it's going to be different. We will continue to do online meetings into the fall semester. Of course, making sure that we're taking everyone's health and comfort levels seriously into the fall semester. We are still going to be totally accessible as we have been all summer, and we're going to meet in the same places that you've met us. So if you have a link to a WebEx room, hold on to that because that's where we'll be. However, we did want to make sure that the lights weren't off when you guys were there on campus, so we are going to do shifts. Each of us are going to do a shift in the hub throughout the fall semester. We won't be able to open the door and give you a big hug, but we can wave through the windows, and the lights will be on, which that was really important for us to make sure that you guys didn't feel alone, even if we can't meet in person. Um, our hours are from 9 a.m. to noon and then 1 to 4 p.m. And you can book appointments during that time. I also want to point out that if you are a student who is in a different time zone, for example, I know we have a lot of great students in China, which is a 12-hour difference. Be really honest with your hub advisor. If all the appointments are going to have you wake up at 3 a.m., please no, don't do that to yourself. Just reach out to your hub advisor and we'll see if we can find another time. Um, some hub advisors are going to figure out how to do walk-ins. How this will work, we are trying to figure it out. Like I said, this is new for all of us too. So pay attention to your email from your hub advisor because they're definitely going to give you some more information on what the fall will look like with us. But the most important thing that I want you to know is that we are here, we are available, we're not going anywhere, and continue to talk with my living room behind me. But hey, worse things. All right. So, steps with your hub advisor. Now that we've done registration, now that we're doing your student orientation, that we're beginning the hidden curriculum, well, it's really simple. We're going to continue the hidden curriculum into the fall semester, and you're definitely going to have at least one meeting with us in the fall semester when you go to plan your schedule. Some students truly only meet with your academic advisor once a semester, which is perfectly fine. Some students choose to meet maybe every other week or 2 to 3 times in a semester, and that is also perfectly fine. You all are individuals, you all have different needs. Some students, I think, just hang out with us, which is perfectly fine. We're friendly people, but we are here to help with a lot of different things. So take advantage of that our calendars to get on there. It's really important that you find ways to connect with us too, especially because you won't be able to just drop into the office in between classes, which is a very normal thing for many of our students. So ways that you can keep in touch with us is, first of all, is reviewing the checklist. So hopefully you found the checklist on the link that we emailed out, because that's going to keep you engaged with all the things that we're going to be offering this fall. But additionally, we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can absolutely follow us and engage with us on all of those things. I actually man a lot of that stuff, so if you ever send a Facebook message or an Instagram message, you're probably chatting with me. Sign up for the remind text alerts with your advisor. We're going to use this to make sure that not only are you going to know about really important deadlines that are coming up, but also so you can make sure that you know about ways to engage with the School of Engineering, with the Hub, with your peers, with faculty. So those text alerts are going to be very, very useful. And of course, checking and responding to all emails. I know your inbox is a crazy, crazy place. Mine is too. And it just gets crazier the deeper we go into this social isolation digital world. My best advice is to block an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening to just go through it. And you're gonna know who's important to read stuff from and things that you can postpone. Always read stuff from your professors. Always read stuff from your academic advisor, aka me. And always read stuff from FYE or the first year experience office. The things that we sent you are really trying to help you stay on top of everything. But don't worry, we also know that you have a lot of emails, so we're understanding, but we still expect you to read our emails. All right. So this is the checklist. So hopefully you've seen this. If you haven't seen this, when you go back to do the quiz, just download it. As you can see, it walks you through basically summer, fall, spring, events and programs that are really meant to help you connect with the school, connect with everything that you're doing, and find some ownership and leadership in your education at RPI. Okay, so this is down of that checklist. So first thing, first, your first college registration, done, tick that box. Next, of course, we know the hidden curriculum, uh, which you're starting right now. Number three is networking with the industry hour. So if you're an undeclared engineer, hopefully you're really familiar with the industry hour at this point. But to make sure that you are, and to introduce the industry hour to everyone in here who is not an undeclared engineer, industry hour is a program that happens every Monday night. It follows a class called Introduction to Better World Engineering, and the goal of that class is to help students learn about all the different engineering majors at RPI. So what we do is we have created a program that follows Industry Hour, where we invite alumni and current students to speak on a panel. It's a very comfortable panel. It's not it's not a super formal event, but they talk about their day-to-days in the industry, in the major that you're in. Um, and the current students will talk about internships and co-ops, and of course be there to answer questions about the major because they're taking those classes that you're going to take. So this is a great way to very casually and comfortably learn how to network because it is going to be online. And you'll get a chance to hear about what the industry looks like in the major that you've declared or want to declare. And you can go to as many of them as you want to. So even if you're declared aero, for example, you can certainly go to the mechanical one or the civil one, depending upon your interests. Um, so we'll make sure that you know about that. And actually, the link that you click to be here tonight is the exact link that Industry Hour will be in every Monday night. So I would say store that link in a safe place so that you always have access to it. All right, number four, what's your plan? Your plan is all about preparation. So again, that's talking about working with your academic advisor to understand every single semester the classes that you should be paying attention to. What do you do if you can't get into the classes that you were planning on? Things happen every semester. You're always going to need to be able to make decisions on your feet. Number five, your student advisor meeting. So that's going to happen in the mandatory student advisor meeting, your SAM meeting, will happen in the spring semester. And as it says, it's a very personal thing. It gives us the chance to meet with you as an individual and talk about your goals, what you need out of your college degree, and then, of course, make sure that you know exactly what your college degree needs out of you. Um, and then this last one here is Cafe Hub. That's what we call um, our student transition program. So typically it's a very, very casual, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. Just having a snack and a drink with your faculty advisor, coffee, soda, tea, not anything fancy. Don't let your minds wander. Um, but it's a good chance to get to know them as a person before you head off to go to them for academic advising support. Okay. All right. So we're touching base on the SoE Hub and your SoE advising team. Now we're going to do basically a sneak peek of what you need to succeed. We're going to talk about a couple things that are really important to know as you begin the semester. And like I said, the next round is going to be really responsive to the environment we're in right now with COVID. Of course, based on all the questions that you're going to ask, because please ask us the questions. And of course, there's going to be the stuff there that historically students have found really, really helpful in their first semester of college. So we have some quotes in this presentation from students who wanted to share words of wisdom with you. So Stephanie was one of our work study students, and she said, make sure to manage school life and academic life. Staying in books will drive you insane. We agree. Always remember that you're a human being as much as your student or studies are important. There is a way to balance both of these things, and we'll talk about that more later. So this little page with all the thumbs up, this is advice collected from both the academic advisors and the hub and the students who've gone through it before you and where they found success. So to start, 16 to 18 credits a semester. First of all, that's the number of credits that we recommend if you're planning to graduate in 4 years. Obviously, this is different depending upon every student. If you're someone who brought in a ton of credits, for example, but also that 16 to 18 credits acts as a safety net. 12 credits, a full-time student. If you drop a class and you go less than 12 credits, suddenly you're a part-time student, which is a totally different bag of financial aid. So that's why we really, really want you there. We really want you at least 16 credits a semester. Um, Time management. You want to make sure that you book that time to study 5 to 6 hours a day. Really block it in so you know exactly when you can take a break, because you need to take a break too. You have to get dinner, you have to have lunch, you have to hang out with your friends and watch movies and go for walks. But you also don't want to find yourself doing too much of the socializing and not finding time to study, and then getting really overwhelmed with homework, or studying for exams. So time management is something that we can help you with in the hub. There's also different resources around campus that we can share with you, that can help you with time management. So never be too shy about coming in and saying, okay, how do I break down my schedule so that I do leave time to eat? Or how do I make sure that I have 6 hours a day to do, my CAD homework on Fridays? We can help with that. Another way to do that kind of stuff, of course, is attending office hours. And I'm moving a bunch of the stuff here so I can keep PowerPoint. Um, so office hours are definitely still going to happen this fall. Of course they are. They will look a little bit different. They will be virtual as well. And part of that first day of classes is that your faculty will make sure, or the professors of each of your courses will let you know exactly how you can get a hold of them and when. We truly recommend that you make the time to meet with every single one of your professors within the first month of classes, regardless if you need help or not. It's a great way to start building a relationship with them. It makes you comfortable with them. So the first time you're talking to them isn't, oh, I bombed my midterm, how do I get some points back? It's, you know them, they know you, and taking time to work with you. Try to prioritize meeting those your professors in the first month of classes, even in an online way, which kind of actually makes it a little bit easier because you have that scheduled time. All right, this bottom one on the bottom, well, it's the bottom left hand side of my screen. I'm sure it is for you too. This is my favorite quote for first years. Friends, don't let friends overcommit. You're about to be given so many different things that you can engage with, from classes to socializing. It's going to be it's basically a smorgasbord of just ways to broaden your horizons. And it's really easy to say yes to all of it. My advice is don't say yes to all of it. In your first couple, maybe like the first month or two, I would say try to pick one club that is truly something that you love to do, something that's a hobby, whether it's kids or cars or theater or singing. And then see how you as you adapt to your education and what you're doing at RPI with your academics. And then, slowly start to add things in, then maybe look at a professional organization in the spring semester. Maybe hold off joining Greek life until the spring semester. It's just there's gonna be so many things that you're gonna want to do, and every year I watch at least a couple of a couple of my advisees totally overload themselves and then feel guilty about having to drop things in order to make sure they make it through midterms or finals. Um, as I've said, and as I'll say 100 times, always please remember that you're a human being and you need to sleep and you need to eat good food. So please try to find a way to get 8 hours of sleep. I know it's hard as a college student. Uh, I remember people telling me to do that as a college student, and I'm pretty sure I never did it, but try. Um, Eat well, yes, it's going to be a lot of fun food, but at least make sure that you get some veggies in some sort of way. Make sure you get a nice protein in some sort of way. A lot of students will get pretty sick off of the college in the first couple weeks, but it has nothing to do with the food being bad, it has everything to do with eating too many chicken nuggets and too much pizza and french fries more than anything else. So make sure that you're having a nice balanced meal. Make sure you're eating well while you're here. There is a lot of good food on campus, and trust me, I've found very healthy, lovely meals on campus when I didn't work from home. Um, and then this last bit of advice: call home, go outside, have fun. AKA, again, remember you're a human being and you need to do more than your studies. And this kind of stuff, making sure you do this kind of stuff, is only going to make you a better student, because you'll feel more confident in yourself. All right. All right. So this is the online learning guide, as I alluded to before. So this is the hidden curriculum being responsive and flexible. And of course, this is going to be something on your need to succeed list. So the online learning guide will include tips for success in your online classes, advice from RPI students who've done online courses at RPI, and an action plan, something that you can physically work on, like a worksheet, that will help for remote classes, but also you can use it for your in-person classes too. So even if you don't have an online class this semester, you might want to check out the guide just to get that checklist, or yeah, that worksheet. This guide is a great thing, again, because pretty much every single one of you, I think, will have some sort of online learning element. And if you've never done it before, you might as well take the advice from those who have, avoid their mistakes and kind of build off of what they already learned. So we'll make sure that you get a link to that too. But you're going to be able to find it right on our website, which you'll see that from us very soon. All right. So the next thing on the what you succeed is learning how to communicate like a professional. Um, don't sweat anything from the summer. With what we're about to go into, we totally expect a whole different array of communication. But now is the time to start transitioning into a professional. As a college student, you are a professional. It is a professional working environment. So when you connect with faculty, when you connect with staff, think of them as your colleagues. So you want to build respect with them and for them, and have them build respect for you in how you communicate with them. Someone gave us this great piece of advice: getting to know your teachers, whether going to office hours or just talking, helps. So this is part of that. How do you even start to communicate? So this fall, especially, the starting of your communication is probably going to be with email. So it's really important that you kind of have a good understanding of what a good email looks like and what a bad email looks like. So this page is a good example of some pretty shady emails that we've received from students. Baseline context is really helpful. Signing your first and last name is really helpful. And spelling and grammar truly do count. With your hub advisors, we're a really safe place to make a mistake. We're always here to help you learn and grow. However, if your professor received any of these emails, just assume that they would never answer them. They would just go straight into the well, whatever they organize. I was gonna say garbage. But without contact, without names, there's not a lot they can do. And with hundreds of students who are reaching out to them for help, they might not take the time to figure out who you are. They'll just assume that you'll reach out to them again. So how do you keep the emails professional? It's pretty simple, really. Proofread carefully. I always say read your email at least once out loud before you hit send. Spelling and grammar do count. Make sure you use a professional tone in your language. Ugh, I can't talk anymore. For example, hi professor, hail me. That's a good greeting. Just jumping into an email isn't really how you should set them up. Always think about emails as more of a letter than a text message, and truly remember to sign your first and last name. There's very little that people can do if they don't know who you are, and it slows things down. So if you're looking for a quick answer and you don't include your name, there's at least going to be a little bit of back and forth before anyone can help you. When you're emailing faculty and staff, it's always useful to email your RIN too, especially if you're in a rush to get an answer on something, because then we can dive right into your information much quicker with a RIN number. So keep this in. Um, Email is not a text message. It's a very different thing. Even if you're emailing from your phone, an email is a formal letter. And try to think about it like that. And remember, it's all about building respect for your faculty and your staff. So that way, when you need help, when you need support, they feel that respect for you and they think of you as a professional. Um, welcome to your new professional world. All right. Registration at Rensselaer. So if you need it point, it is perfectly fine, but I would say you really need to make an appointment with your advisor this week in order to make sure that you know exactly what you got to do in order to finalize your schedule. Um, if you are not aware, the add deadline allows you to switch sections or change your schedule up until September 11th. So after that point, you won't be able to make adjustments to your schedule anymore. And the drop deadline, I should have looked before I started this, but I believe it's probably the end of October. So there's a lot of time between now and deciding whether or not you want to drop a class. However, if you drop a class after September 11th, you cannot replace it. So again, make sure you're at least 16 credits just in case you do discover you need a drop course. Reasons why you might need to make a change right now. You may not have gotten the scores you expected. Either way, you got them higher or lower. You haven't finalized your HOTS course. Maybe you're realizing that, oh, I probably should take Calculus 1 as a first year engineering student. And again, making sure that you're registered for those 16 credits. So if you do need help, that's what we're here for. Book an appointment and your advisor can help you make those finalizations. Okay, campus and student life resources. So I'm going to brush through this really quickly. I just want you to know that these resources are available to you. This webinar, this video chat is being recorded, so you can always go back and look at it. But also, every single resource that I have to talk about has a link on the Hidden Curriculum episode 2 webpage, so you can always go back to that and click on the links. So yes, it's a different semester, but everyone is still here, and we're all very excited and very eager to get on with a new school year. Even if it looks a little bit different, all of these resources are still available. So me, another one of our work study students, using ALAC, which is the center that does tutoring, was super helpful for me for classes that I struggled with even now. I should probably make better use of those than I do. So ALAC is definitely something that I want to make sure all of you are aware of because they are there to help you succeed in your classes. They are there to make sure that you have the power and capability of completing your classes in the way that you're hoping and expecting yourself to in order to reach those goals you have for college and your career. There are other resources on campus that feel the same way. So the Writing Center actually will help with personal projects too, not just homework assignments. But for those of you who are in a communication intensive course this fall semester with your HOPS course, the Writing Center could be a really useful place for you to get started with. And keep in mind that you're going to be writing all through your 4 years, which is why the communication intensive requirement is so early, to make sure that you get those skills right off the bat so that every semester you become a stronger and more confident communicator with writing, with presentations. Of course, your first semester might be a little awkward, it might be a little iffy, but that does not mean it always will be, and you could graduate from RPI feeling very confident in your ability to communicate. Learning assistants are basically like me, except they are students, which means they're going through what you're going through right now, and they're also available during the hours where I'm not available. So learning assistants will definitely reach out to you at the start of the semester. Live in dorms. I'm not exactly sure how it will look this year because I know that their meetings will be online too. But they will be there to support you. Drop-in tutoring, as I said, is it's just a part of being in college. I say even before you realize that you need a little bit of support, it's good to go to at least one drop-in tutoring section, just so you have an idea of what it looks like and what kind of help is there for you. There's a link for it right here, but as I said, on the Hidden Curriculum episode 2, you will find a link to that. First year experience, you should be super familiar with them at this point. They're also known as FYE. They are in the Office of Student Success. So, to point out how much RPI believes in you and wants you to succeed, we have an office called Student Success. Your first year experience is a great office. Again, they're very, very similar to us in the Hub, except they have their hand on all that student life stuff. So, for example, your res life, your dining, your computers, your bookstore, all of that kind of stuff. They know health center. they have their hand on that pulse, whereas I am on the academic side, so I'm scheduling and professors and academic programs. So we really work with first year experience to help you get set up with your fall semester. Also, I don't know if you heard that, but don't worry, it's just Troy. um, but anyway, so first experience is a good office to know about. You can always reach out to them at fye@rpi.edu. And counseling center is another really great office. Of course, they're going to be pretty important this semester as we all do our COVID testing pretty regularly. But they are doing health appointments. They are going to do counseling appointments, and they're all going to be online. All you have to do is visit their website, and you'll see all the different ways that you can make an appointment with them. And then in student life, we have our career center, we have international programs, study abroad, research abroad, and our financial aid and bursar. Financial aid, financial aid, sorry. Financial aid and the bursar's office are the best offices to go to if you have questions about, your tuition and your bill. To get in touch with them, you could always reach out to your hub advisor. We can give them a link. We don't know anything when it comes to your financial aid or bursar, and that's pretty much the best for you because you want to make sure you're going right to the source to get that information. Okay. All right. So, I guess I should have talked about this. So, again, there's many ways to engage at Rensselaer. Um, Internships and co-ops, there will be a career fair this fall, as there always is. It's going to be a virtual affair, and once you get more on campus, you'll probably start seeing, the flyers, and actually, you probably would have received an email or two about it at this point, because it's very early in the fall semester, usually in the first 2 weeks of college. You could do undergraduate research, as I mentioned before. You can do undergraduate research in a department that is not your major, which is really, really cool. Talk to your SoE hub advisor about it. If you're something you're interested in, we can point you in the right direction. Civic engagement, volunteering through the student union is also something a lot of our students partake in. Greek life is awesome. We have a really strong Greek life on our campus. Athletics, clubs, and organizations. We've talked about this all a little bit. It's all waiting for you here. Again, might look a little bit different. They might have different rules, but it's not forever. It's just until we can beat a global health pandemic by being safe and washing our hands and wearing our masks. But again, they'll reach out about what that looks like. All right, Edwin, one of our senior. Yep, I think he was a senior last year or this year. Go explore Troy, figure out what's around, food, activities, and the community you live in. Yes, you're coming RPI. It's its own little city up on a hill, but you're also part of Troy when you move here. And Troy is pretty awesome too. We have really, really good food. There's a lot of culture here. If you love Korean food, if you love pizza, bistro. There's great cafes. There's amazing coffee. I can favorite coffee any day you want. It's superior merchandise. Um, but get to know Troy. It's a lot of fun to get off campus and remember that you're not just a student. Okay, so that's it. So we're gonna break into Q&A in just a second. Keep in mind the next steps are going to be continuing with the hidden curriculum, which you'll see an email about, and of course making an appointment with your hub advisor this fall, probably in October. There may be reasons to meet before that. You know more than we do. If you need us before then, but for the most part, we expect to see you in October to make a schedule for your spring semester. Okay, so I'm going to close this PowerPoint, and now is a time where I say feel really comfortable to turn off or turn on your cameras, turn off your mics. You can ask questions that way if you're comfortable. You can, of course, just send it to me in the chat room if you want to do that. It is completely up to you, but your questions are really important. So I want to make sure that we do take that time to go through your questions. And also, just as a quick reminder, I am an academic advisor, so you might have questions that I don't know the answer to. As I've said many times, just ask them anyway. If I don't know, I'm going to help you figure out who does have the answers to them. Yeah. Great.